Ramsay, start with John.
Were you happy with point tonight, Coach?
I was really happy with the point. I think we wouldn't have blown anyone away with that performance, but we needed, to an extent, a performance like that. We didn't have ways of changing the game. We didn't have loads of depth, so we knew we needed to make sure we stayed in the game, that we played at a certain rhythm, made it difficult for them to do what they want to do. And I think for the large portion of the game, we did that, and we had a couple of good chances of our own. So I think relative to the circumstances, that's a really, really good point for us. And I think it means that we roll on in terms of momentum. And there were obviously a load of other positives that go with a day like that in terms of debuts and I suppose how you put the whole club on show, how you integrate academy players, how the crowd responds to that type of thing. So that was really important for us today, and I think arguably it's as good an outcome as we could have hoped for.
You guys went with a high press early on. What went into that decision? Obviously, it was beneficial in leading to the goal.
Yeah, we were trying to make sure that we really picked our moments to be very aggressive, and the points at which we couldn't, we were very happy for them to have the ball, and we obviously had a very specific plan to take away what is typically their threat. So I think for the large portion we did. Obviously with the balance of play, you would expect that they would come into the game at some point. They're a team for me that needed to come here and really have a good go at beating us. So I think toward the end of the game you would expect a little bit of momentum to tip in their favour, and given our circumstances. So I think we did manage that well. We had a couple of moments where we really high pressed and did so to good effect, but for the large portion of the game we kept the game where we wanted to keep it, and that was arguably the biggest factor behind the point.
Dallas settled for a lot of long balls over the top. Is that a sign to you that your team is well organized, or is that something you're trying to prevent?
Yeah, I mean, we really needed to make sure that we took away the middle of the pitch. We made it very difficult for them to connect the passes in the middle through some of their players that really like to play in that way. And then I thought we defended the space in behind our line really, really well. It was a game where we had to be very compact. We had to make sure that we were completely on point in terms of organisation and discipline, and they were. And I would say even the players that came into the game that haven't been a big part of what we've done this year, I think they work within that framework really, really well. So we're really pleased with that.
Dallas hasn't scored very many goals this year, but they had some success on set pieces. Were you prepared, and how much did you work on the short corners?
Yeah, we did. We were disappointed with the goal that we conceded there, because it was very preventable if you've seen what they've done over the course of the year so far. But I would say it's one of those things sometimes where you've got players that aren't necessarily in the rhythm of playing competitive minutes for long periods of time. A set plays is often one of those areas where players lose concentration, and unfortunately that was what cost us today, because I think beyond the set plays we largely restricted them to very few chances aside from a couple at the end. So we will obviously have a good look at that, but I would say perhaps on our part we take a little bit of culpability, but also it's the nature of the player's rhythm, and that's what cost us, I suppose.
What did you see from Victor Eriksson in his first extended performance?
Yeah, he had some really good moments. It was not, I suppose, not the best set of circumstances to come in the sense that the team perhaps wasn't playing in the way with the same rhythm that it has done at home over the course of this year so far. So that was a game, I would say, that looks very different. It's a standout game in my period here in terms of style, balance of play, how we were able to use the ball. So I don't think it was a pretty performance all round, but it was definitely steady from his perspective, which was definitely what we were hoping for today.
Did any of the other young guys really impress you or really stand out tonight that were maybe making their debuts?
Yeah, again, I think it's a difficult set of circumstances to come into. It wasn't a fluid, flowing performance. It required discipline, it required hard work. So I think someone like Patrick, say, comes on, maybe not in the circumstances that best show his qualities, but I think he played in a very disciplined way, as did Jordan up until the point at which he came off. And I thought Cage played with real composure in the moments that he had the ball. He looked like he had every intent to make something happen, which I think is a mark of a really confident player, and the crowd responded really, really well to him. So we were pleased with that. I think Morris, even as he comes on at the end with very little sort of action and involvement, I still think he looked a good presence, and he looked like he really wanted to come on and make a mark and play with purpose, and that's all you can ask of those players. So I think it was a really good showing from them.
Tonight was Pride Night, special night for the fans. What was your thought on the atmosphere of the fans tonight?
Yeah, we really needed the fans tonight, and I'd said that yesterday, that it wasn't going to be a game that we were going to find easy throughout. So I knew full well that we were going to need them to drive us home, and I think in the first half they gave us a really good atmosphere. I think that definitely contributed to the way in which we were able to steal the ball and have those counter-attacking moments in front of the noisy end. And yeah, as the game goes on, I think they recognised what the team needed. They knew that team needed noise and it needed energy, and I think the fact that they responded so well to the players coming on from the academy, that's a huge thing for us. And yes, we didn't win, but in some senses it feels like a win for many reasons tonight. So I hope they enjoyed it, and definitely a big part of that point for us.
Clint wasn't called on much, but when he was, he came up big. What did you feel like he did?
Yeah, really good performance. Exactly what we needed for him. He's obviously going to be a big part of, he's been a big part of what we're doing. He's very good behind the scenes, perfect character for that number 2 goalkeeper, really good influence on the dressing room, really steady guy, very positive, and we needed him to perform tonight, and I'm really glad that he's done so, because it sets off really well this period that he's going to be standing in for Dane. So I didn't have any doubts about him. I don't think any of the staff had any doubts about him, and he's proved that and some tonight.
Did Caden feel his hamstring? Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think it was cramped with Caden. Obviously, he's not played a load of 90 minutes this year, so I think that was expected to an extent, and I would say the same for a load of the players that have probably been a victim to an extent of the fact that we've changed a lot of the front players. Often someone like Bongi, Sangbin, Caden, they're not playing loads of 90 minutes, so that was a bit of a grind for them, but they did brilliant for us.
Any more, Coach? There you go.
Top. Thanks, guys.